Okay, so maybe I start from asking questions to you guys. How many of you are outside of France? Not a lot of foreigners. Oh my God, I'm unfortunately don't speak French at all. So my apology for speaking in this, English language. I'm foreigner myself. So English is not my native language as well, but I will try to do my best in order to be understandable and deliver a good talk. Okay, so one more question for you guys. How many of you deal with customers? Need to speak with them. Okay, quite a lot. So that's actually good because today we will be speaking about feature gluttony. So the whole point around trying to maybe not reduce the scope, but make the scope in a rational manner that we can deliver value to our beloved customers who pay us money. So before I even start, who I am. So I'm a kind of agile person in beautiful agile world in our beautiful IT industry. Back in Krakow, I was organizing Agile Lean enthusiast meetups. Right now I'm based in London, so I'm not doing it anymore. I'm part of Agile Lean Europe community. I was co-organizer of a conference, which was Agile Lean Europe. This is my Twitter handle. If you have any questions, feel free to reach me. And also there's my blog. Okay, another question. How many of you has Twitter? Excellent. So I hope that you can tweet afterwards or during the talk if you like something. I have lovely hand-drawn slides, so please don't mock them too much because I'm an IT specialist, not the professional drawer. So sometimes some things maybe doesn't look like they should look. But I hope that you'll like it anyway. Okay, so what I'm doing on daily basis. I'm working with a Scrum team as a product owner. So basically, I also deal with the business people. And my experience is across different kind of companies. I start in an internal IT department, then I moved and I was working in software house, then I started working as a consultant. And as a consultant, I should say to you that universal answer for all the questions is it depends. The same is with cutting scope or reducing scope or making certain that our application is usable. So today I will try to go with you through journey between all those kinds of professions that we are working in. So internal IT departments, software houses, and maybe consultancy. Because from each perspective, actually it's similar but slightly different. So as I said, it depends. Okay, so another question, because I know that you are dealing with customers, so that's excellent. How many of you are software developers? Oh my God, I don't know if I should ask if there's anyone who is not software developer. Okay, one person. Okay, so could you say who? Oh, two people. Okay, so what are you doing? Architect. Oh, okay. And there was the second hand somewhere here. Okay, it's close enough, close enough. Okay, sometimes we have UX people in the room, or testers, or product owners. So that's why I'm asking. It's usually nice to see this perspective as well. Okay, but let's start. Gluttony. Well, first of all, we can ask ourselves the question: should we care? Customers are paying us money, so if they want excessive features, maybe we should deliver. It means that we'll get, more money in the end in our pockets, so maybe it should be good. But on the other hand, we should ask ourselves the question, okay, what is the future of our software? Especially if we are building something that is we know that it will be big. And because of that, if we are continue adding more and more features, in future, we can suspect that we will have problem with maintenance of code, with really hard kind of UX questions to answer, how to fit in new features and stuff. And also you need to ask, okay, is our software actually helping business? Is there basically helping to achieve the business goal? Again, this why basically people want more and more and having this constant carving, because they can't do the thing they want to do. And business people tend to have their lovely Excel spreadsheets, so sometimes they ask you, can we like integrate this spreadsheet with the software? It will solve all the issues. Then we can ask, okay, maybe we actually should deliver Excels. Not really. So we will talk about it during the talk. I have like a few comics, and I also want to highlight the comics and real life. Everything has an inspiration somewhere. The same is with basically building software and making it like working. So basically, we need to answer the question around the discovery for the new features and try to figure it out if our software is able to handle additional feature. And sometimes there is like, it's like system which is kind of old, but it's still working. And we are adding features and adding features. It's starting to slow down a bit, but somehow, it just managed and do the job. So this is example of the kitten that it's, slightly big, but can squeeze and can do the job. But there is a point where we have, especially if we are working with the world of ERP systems, that they are slightly, big. There is a lot of business processes that rely on the software. And when we add feature, basically this happens on the production. And nevertheless, that people are like knowing that basically adding features to especially the old software is like dangerous because we, for instance, don't have tests, or even if we have tests, there is not lot of automated tests. So we rely on like regression testing, which is manual, for instance, and it's really hard to basically do anything with it. So even though we know, we sometimes are tempted to listen and basically add new stuff. And we can try to figure it out, okay, what are basically the constraints that we have in like building software and adding the new stuff to the product that we should be aware of, and basically how we can communicate to the other side, so to the business, that it's basically not so beneficial, because the key point over here is that to communicate in a clear manner that we can deliver the new feature because we are awesome, right? But the point is that it should be beneficial for business. And so first thing is that UX design gets to be complicated when we have more and more. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't build like complex products, because usually software is complex below. But if we have a lot of features, it's really hard to make like nice and clear UI. And we end up with having like, UI that looks like hilarious and our users don't know what to follow. Again, we have also struggles with the complexity of the code base as well, and managing it starts to be like difficult, and usually it grows with the number of features. What else? Our users are lost as well in the terms that, especially when we build the new products, there is not everything there, so they need to have some manual support of the processes. But there is a point in time when users are happy. Surprise, it doesn't mean that they won't ask you for more. Because they always want to more, because they will think about additional things to simplify their lives. And this is good. But we also need to think, okay, so if we're adding more, maybe we can remove something. Maybe there's a feature that they are not using, so we can like change. Or maybe we can improve one of the features instead of adding it. When I was working in Software House, we had the situation when we had the 3 features that basically did exactly the same thing, but in a different order. And this is an example of things that we shouldn't do. If we know that the configuration is needed because our customers who are using the software that we are building have different business processes, maybe we should think about configuration. So building the feature in a way that we can configure it, not adding new features that do exactly the same thing in a different order. So this is one thing. And also remember that if you basically have too complex software, I don't maybe mention the name, but there is a lot of ERP systems that probably you've seen. People don't know how to use it, and there are like hilarious situations. So one of the companies I worked in, there was a financial system, really big one, where you need to put your all expenses and stuff. So in the law, In Poland, it's like you can basically expense your glasses if you are working in IT. So guess what? In order to expense glasses, I need to put like travel requests because system couldn't handle glasses for some reason. So there are situations like that, and then you just try to think, okay, this costs like millions of dollars, so why it's like working like that? Probably because there's so many features that even the creators don't know the dependencies. Okay. So what else? So if you are working in the Scrum teams, we probably have stuff like Backlog. And if we have Backlog, we also have some kind of roadmap, so that at least vague idea where we want to head. The problem is that if it's like too big and too excessive, we start to have like commitments. So other people want like to rely on us and say, okay, so if you deliver this, then we can build something on top of that, and you need to expose your APIs so we can call and basically communicate. And then it starts to be tricky in terms like some people will put, if you have roadmap, they put dates. And if you put dates, it means that you committed to something, even though you maybe try to work in Agile and have Scrum and everything. And then people will expect, oh, but you told that this will be delivered, why it's not there? And again, we live in a world that there is no software that is standalone anymore. So we integrate with different softwares. So it's like trying to be, it starts to be like dangerous. And again, maybe one more question here. How many of you like work in like agile manner? Okay, keep your hands up. How many of you have backlog ready for at least, let's say, month ahead? Okay, a year ahead? Okay, not that many. Okay, that's good. Why I'm asking, because sometimes on conferences when I ask, there are the people who then afterwards say, oh yeah, we are working with Agile and we have like 5 years backlog. It's not really Agile. So actually it's like good that you have here like only few people with like huge backlogs. That's good. Because there's the next point. Basically, backlog is fine. It's really good to know what we are doing, but the problem is with the size. If we have something for a few years ahead and we have detailed user stories for that, brilliant, but we can't forecast the future. I know that some people have like the crystal balls, but it doesn't like work like in our industry. And also we waste time on doing those user stories. Why? Let's say that we are like financial institution and we are like working on the application for bank, which will be working on mobile phones. So like a few years ago, like fingerprint and basically login by finger wasn't the thing because there was no devices to do that. So let's imagine that we didn't know that this is coming, and then voila, innovation happened, and now almost all phones like enables you like some kind of fancy way of logging, fingerprints, maybe voice recognition in the future or whatever. If we have backlog ready for 5 years ahead and also it's like big, so there's no clue what is here, it's really hard to say, okay, can we add this new brilliant feature to enable our customers to safely log into our bank application by fingerprint? Probably answer is, okay, no, because we are committed, because we have roadmaps, so there's other expectations, so we need to wait. So this is like kind of example that we lose flexibility if we have too much stuff. And customers also like if we, they say, okay, I want new feature. Maybe we should like pause and say, okay, let's do the stuff that we have here and park this topic for later and then detail it. I will, in the second part of the talk, I will answer for that and show like a few nice examples how to deal with this particular part. Priorities. Well, if you have this, honestly, you don't know the priorities. People pretend that they have ordered backlog in, the most important stuff in the top and the less important in the bottom. But if you have 100 user stories and one person to deal with this, they won't read everything. Or even if they wrote it themselves, they won't remember because we're only human beings. We can obviously scale and have army of product owners, business analysts who will deal with it. But then there's the question, okay, do we actually need it? Another thing, documentation of basically if we have too much stuff. Well, sometimes people do the documentation, but the quality is also different. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do documentation at all. However, if we have really a lot of requests for the new features, and we would like to have something additional except the user stories, because we need context, for instance. Then sometimes we have stuff like that, and it's really hard from the, when we just recall from the back what was basically about this. Again, remember that if you have like backlog for few years ahead or few months ahead, and you written your user stories back then, it's really hard to recall, okay, why actually I did it that way. And if you have this beautiful supportive documentation, it's even harder. Okay, so quickly before I go to the solutions, and let's recap what is like danger that we can highlight to the business. First of all, problems with UX design. Colleagues from UX department for certain will support us with basically saying that basically it's insane if you have too many features. A problem with complexity of the code, and basically from the user perspective, which is the most important for the business people, is that they will be confused simply because of number of things on the UI happening. Another thing is that if we have too many requests and we are afraid that we really need to record every request from the business and we put the user stories or other tickets to our systems, it's start to be like tricky because backlog grows. If backlog grows and we have the prioritization ready and we put this in a linear format, some people do their projections when we finish and they will say, oh yeah, so now we have commitments and you need to deliver this then and then. Okay, so we basically would like to clean up. And let's start from like the common thing that I usually saw once I start to be consultant. So estimates was like the brilliant way to say no to the customers because, we have the story points. No one knows what the story points are from the business. Some have vague idea. So maybe I, at this point, should ask, do you know what story points are? So raise your hand. Okay, and how many of you are using story points? And there's anyone who's like having like no estimates approach? Nice. That's really brilliant. I will talk about story points and basically estimates as well. Because what we are sometimes doing, and we are tempted, is like giving really high estimate if we really don't want to do certain stuff because it's like complex, and we believe that if we have big estimates, business will descope it and say, okay, we won't pay for this because it's too expensive. Guess what? Users and business are, intelligent creatures as well. So we never can underestimate their potential. So first of all, just despite the fact that they don't really get the story points, for them it's just a number. And if we say that, oh yeah, it reflects complexity, risk and stuff like that, they think, okay, whatever. You just give the big number because you are lazy or because you want to cheat me, because previously you delivered. So if you delivered it once, why not another time, right? So if we, this trick with big numbers can maybe work once, but afterwards they will know that, okay, you will deliver it anyway. Again, magic Excel spreadsheets. So even if we use any kind of numbers, t-shirt sizes, whatever we use, there is a way to map it in the Excel, believe me. Once in one of the teams, we were using, I think, colors. And there was not obvious colors like green, amber, and red. No, we had purple, blue, whatever. And then our project manager was able to map it to the Excel to the time and budget. So you can map everything. Okay, so I think that this is the most important part. Our business doesn't understand that it's not beneficial for them. And sometimes because of the lack of the communication and chain between us and a business, it's really hard to tell that this estimate actually reflects, for instance, risk. And we would like to basically somehow communicate, okay, we are good, right? We would like to deliver. However, it's not good for you, dear customer. Okay, so what we can basically do to make it better? So first of all, we should start from having roadmap, but not in a linear way. So the biggest concern from the business is that they will give us the ideas and they will never happen. And why that is, software industry is not that old, but our business partners has bad experience sometimes vendors, sometimes with us if we are like internal IT department, sometimes with the consultants, because people like promise, and then it's not happening. Or if it's happening, we IT people say, okay, we need to cut the scope, or saying, oh, it's a scope creep, so we won't deliver that. And they think, oh my God, I always thought about this, so how come it's like scope creep, yeah? So also they don't understand. So what we can have, it's like the product tree. So what we are doing, we have the current time box here. If we are working in Scrum, Kanban, on whatever, we just say, okay, those are the ideas. So there are not user stories, there are not epics, those are the ideas from the business that are not defined yet, that we are working on. Those are stuff that are for the future. If we are working with remote team, we can make it like mind map in electronic manner. If we have this pleasure to work with everyone in the office, it's really nice to have it like on the wall, because then everyone see the sticky notes, can add the sticky notes if they wish, and it's like basically nice way of communicating the stuff that we're actually doing. But returning to this point, so also it helps us to group the things into the modules. Business sometimes doesn't understand that we would like to reduce dependencies between the features, because it's easier for us then to build nice, clean architecture, like microservices, which are like now that's popular. So if we have branches, in the business mind, it's like clear that one branch can't suddenly merge with another, because the tree doesn't do it. So it's like really easy explanation. But you can do like various variation of this. And also, if you are starting the product and starting the development, it's also like good idea with gathering people to the same room, throwing the ideas and trying to figure out, okay, what we are doing next and what we are doing first. And again, it gives a lot of like confidence. Okay, our ideas are captured, they won't disappear. And again, because this is like limit number of things, we are more likely to deliver stuff. So again, we increase the trust between the partners, that is IT and the business. Okay, so again, this was the example. So when we have the tree with the ideas, it's not the end of the journey, because sometimes the ideas doesn't make sense. Why they doesn't make sense? Because maybe we should validate them from like kind of benefits perspective. So we have like profits somewhere, so return from investment. And one thing that our company care about, I told you, I'm consultant. So this will depend on your perspective. If you are working on, let's say, APIs or like databases or engines and stuff like that, you will care about performance, but you won't care about UI that much. And if you have the product that is basically don't have UI at all, then you just screw UI and there's nothing. So this is also like, okay, but if you have the customer-facing web page and you are like e-commerce platform, then maybe, okay, you need to have performance in a good level, but you really care about UI, because if it's not user-friendly, people simply won't buy it, so it's like not good for you. So you're taking the ideas and trying to map them out against the profit and the thing that is the most important for your software. As I said with those two examples, could be performance, could be UI, could be thousands of other stuff, depending of the context. Always remember that context is the king. So you take the ideas and basically put them on the axis and try to figure it out what is there. Surprisingly, this is the things that you should deliver first. Again, common sense, it's not that common, so maybe I will shall say it like explicitly. If someone here, for instance, there are like security requirements that you have to meet, because otherwise everyone will just go to jail, it means that you need to do them, even though if they are not in the top corner. And sometimes there are requirements that maybe are not, they don't influence our key business process, and they don't influence our return of investment, but they are really crucial from like security perspective, performance perspective, any other perspective. So let's say that we are dealing with customer data, and we would like to have like secure way to access the customer data for the database. maybe it's not MVP in the manner of like, okay, it doesn't do anything to the performance and doesn't do anything for ROI, but if someone steals our customer data, we're like screwed. So should remember about that. And again, example from the real world. This is also good because usually when I'm doing it is a session with business, IT, and other stakeholders, depending on the company, obviously, and we are doing it together. So this allows to have conversation. It means that IT will understand better the business needs, and business will understand more our technical constraints or why we think that certain feature is more important than the other. But it's not the end. I'm not really huge fan of metrics, but sometimes we also need to think if we have existing software. If we are building everything from scratch, this is the point when we can take it and start detailing user stories and start building, because we can think, okay, this is good. But if we have existing software that already has like certain part of features, it's good to think, okay, I know how it influenced the key business process, but how it influenced the stuff that we already have. So let's say that we have booking engine for airlines, and we are having basically booking the tickets. And we care about the performance, and basically key business process is to allow customer to book the ticket, right? So we don't want to screw that. And obviously, booking possibilities is important, search speed is important, because, 21st century, if we click and wait 1 second, it's like ages, right? Can't allow that. So if we're adding new feature to our booking engine, we just say, oh no, now customers need to wait 5 seconds. There's like, no. And let's say that the third one will be the maybe the price predictions or something like that, that we just give accurate price of the ticket, because also customer can be kind of angry if we display one price when he tries to find the ticket and another when he click purchase. So we have those 3 key things, and we found, okay, we have new key cool feature, which is like, let's say, selection of the color of the plane. Because let's say that we have multiple databases with different airplanes, and some people maybe want to travel with the pink plane or something like that, or blue one. Okay, for that it means that we need to merge with different databases and we need to query. And let's check, okay, how it's influenced the performance. Oh no, we need to wait, so customer need to wait. That's bad. On the other hand, he can still buy the ticket, so maybe it's not that bad. On the third one, because it's like still influencing the query, it's like really hard maybe to join it with the prices, and we are not able to display the correct price. It basically means then, okay, we shouldn't do this particular feature, even if it sounds really cool and it's innovative, because it destroys our key business processes that are already developed in the application. Why 3? Okay, if we have 1, then it doesn't differ that much from the previous stuff. If you have 5, you are just wasting a lot of time of figuring this out. If you have 3, it's like more or less fine. I think that 5, if you have complex software, it would be good as well. But like 7, 9, or whatever, it starts to be tricky. Why this number is odd, not even? Because if you have, let's say, 2 or 4, and you have 2 for and 2 against, it's really hard to decide. And this meant to be like last security check before you detailed your user stories or backlog item, to like throw them away or continue with them. Also, you can park this topic again for the future, because maybe in the future we'll figure out the better way of doing it. This creates lean backlog, and now we have something that we can work on, and it's not too many of stuff in the backlog. It's not too many features that are beneficial, because we are conversate all the time with business. They understand why we were doing it in that way, not in a different way. Okay. Again, why I had the smiles like that? Well, I believe that estimating gives some certain of predictability for the business. However, I'm not really proficient with the crystal ball. Some people claim that you can estimate really accurately. Excellent, good for you. I basically never seen in my life accurate estimates. If there's a person who is able to manage the crystal ball and have like magic way of doing extent estimates, I would like really discuss after the talk. Unless it's like really complicated econometric model that's, basically you need to have like 5 clusters somewhere in the cloud and basically it runs for a week and then give the number, then maybe I'm not so convinced that we actually should do it. Important thing, just all those exercises I show you, I do within like 1 hour with the business. Keep it short, don't waste time. We need to say, okay, we are not perfect. We can give you certain way of the predictability. That's why we are working in a certain time box. And maybe it will take slightly longer, maybe slightly shorter, but be patient. We reduce the scope so we'll be able to deliver it. If we have a lot of stuff and a lot of stuff in the pipeline, then our need for the predictability and estimates basically grows. And business want to know when I get my new shiny toy. They are like children. I think that everyone, even we in IT also were like, we want to have our new shiny toys, business as well. So that's why they want to have estimates. If we reduce the scope, if we have partnership and we are talking to them and saying, okay, we have time box when we want to deliver it, then it's like increase the trust as well. Sometimes you have to use estimates. Some people are bold and say, okay, if the company forces you to give the estimates, you should quit. The word is not so beautiful, so if everyone would quit after, saying, okay, you need to give estimates, then probably a lot of IT people will be like homeless, but maybe that's why we are sometimes called hipsters. Maybe those are people who quit after saying, oh no, we are not giving estimates. Okay, anyway, also there is some kind of cure for that. We know that story points are not so clear for business. So let's ask them, okay, let's start from you giving us estimates. So what is the business value? So why you want to achieve something, and maybe you can add the number for that, t-shirt size or whatever you want. Also from our side, let's add risk. Because for them it's like explicitly saying, okay, why we don't want to do certain stuff. So if we just compare, let's say that we have application, again, banking example, to log into our bank using smartphone. And it's like new functionality. Maybe we haven't done it before in the different manner than adding the password. And right now we would like to have new fancy way, let's say fingerprint. Let's suppose that this is the new LT and we never done it before. So it's big because it's risky, we don't know technology, there's a lot of security constraints, stuff like that. So we don't basically know it. Also there is ambiguity, okay, it works on certain devices, but maybe it doesn't work in the different devices. Is it like only from one platform or it's like platform agnostic? So we basically don't know. If we say, okay, this is big because basically risk is high, and the business say, okay, this is huge because customers are lazy. They don't want to type on the phone, they know those small letters and probably the password. They will just mix up the password anyway. At least each time I'm logging to anything on the phone, I'm always, the first attempt to put the password is like, fail. So I love fingerprint. That's why it's an example in the stock. So basically, yeah, we know that it's like important because then customers are logging using our app more frequently. Okay, so let's say that we discuss it and maybe say, okay, let's try it like slightly smaller chunks. So instead of doing it for every possible platform, let's choose one platform. Let's say this could be like iPhones. They are like popular among our customers, or could be like whatever other kind of phones. But then we just suddenly reduce the risk because we have one platform to experiment with. We have like reasonable business value because it's like based on our customer base. So we checked, okay, they are using this kind of system, so maybe we can start from that. And say, okay, it's still big because it's complex, because it's like security issues and stuff, but we at least reduce the risk. On the other hand, if we say, okay, maybe we should start from like voice recognition. We say, okay, how many people actually are using voice recognition right now? Not really a lot. So the business value is like low. The risk is still high because it's like the new LT, not a lot of companies are doing it. There's also kind of complexity there. So maybe we can descope this part and do only one. And then also we can compare different variation and choose, okay, what kind of needs are fulfilled by the proposed user stories or proposed the backlog items, and maybe then the business say, okay, actually, maybe we don't have to do everything. Maybe we can reduce the scope and pick this one because this need actually is like, not that crucial. And this allows in a like literally visual manner to say, oh, okay, that is like interesting. We can choose and pick. And this is more informed decision. Usually there are like pretty technical stuff around here as well. So this also helps the business to understand, okay, what is the decomposition of the work that we are doing. And remember, if you do all those stuff, it's good to add recommendations in the end. Why? Because if we present all those tables and all those stuff, sometimes people won't get basically, okay, why you are doing it. So if you explicitly say, okay, I'm recommending to do this because it's only slightly different, but still do the job, and then we can experiment and do like, a bit like lean startup approach, so maybe add it later and check how the market reacted, then it's like more user-friendly for the people who are reading it. Again, sometimes, especially in like big companies, you are using emails and docs and stuff. So that's why adding recommendations is like really important, because sometimes you don't have chance to speak with another human being, but you are sending the emails. Not perfect, but this is the word that sometimes we have to work in. Again, I'm a consultant, so sometimes I'm dealing with it. Okay, almost last thing. How about deleting? It's terrifying. If you tell people, like for instance, like product owners, okay, you should delete your backlog. It's really terrifying idea. The same is with the features. So if you say to the business or even to developers, okay, we should delete something, oh my God, what happened? So is it like maybe our software will collapse or not? Basically, it's like, oh my God, this is like really crazy idea. But actually it's not, especially if you have software that's older than 1 year. There's like plenty of features that people stopped using because the business changed, environment changed, and we would like to adapt, so we're adding more, and frequently forgetting about removing the stuff that we are not using. Again, example from like my first work. We had like old system that was like internally built, so we were like all new, all the code base, and we decided to like lean it up a bit because we just were adding, and it was starting to slow down. So we thought, okay, let's measure what people are clicking. So we put additional stuff to the code, start measuring, and thought, okay, there's like few features that people are not using. Let's hide them. And let's see what happens. If someone will go to us and say, oh, where is my feature? Then we just unhide it and, and it's fine. If no one will notice, like within, let's say, 3 months, half a year, we just delete it. And we did so. So we hide the features. There was like one finance feature for doing the reports, which was like used once a year. And we were like extremely lucky because we hide the feature. It was hidden like 5 months. And then suddenly end of the fiscal year happened. And my accountant called us with like panic. Oh my God, I want to do my report. It was there last year and I can't find the button. Could you help me, please? So we unhide the thing, and basically lesson learned from this story. You need to know your business. So if there are features that are kind of seasonal, so they are used by, maybe once a year or twice a year, but they are really crucial because this is like favorite button for our main accountant. You should know it when basically it's like the peak time of the usage of your feature. Because sometimes if you measure, even for a really long time, maybe you skip the window where basically the feature is used. So I advise measuring, but in the times that basically features can be used. So this is lesson learned. It was kind of a lot of panic then, so beware for that. But basically, the good point of this was also that we removed a lot of stuff that were not used, and we told the business that we ran the experiment. So we first checked what features were used, then hide them, and then said that, okay, we would like to delete them, and it basically means that this application will run faster. Are you happy with this? They said, yeah, if you checked and if you're confident that nothing will break and that people are not using it, go ahead. The worst thing is with any kind of ideas for improvement is saying, okay, let's, break something and then check what happens. Some businesses are brave enough to do it. Sometimes you have really complex business processes around and people are insanely uncertain about, stuff like that, and this basically causes fear. And we really don't want to scare our business. If we have data, if we measure stuff, then it means that it's more secure. One last thing. If we also say to our business that we have automatic tests, and if we delete our features and something will break, it will show us so we can reverse the change. Obviously, not always we have automatic tests, and sometimes if the legacy code, so the software really, really old, is impossible. So I would advise that if you are working on a new shiny product or you are adding new features, add automatic tests as well. Why it's also important? If you have brilliant documentation, user stories, you won't read it. If you break the tests, you will see the red screen and no one will, allow to basically go to the production with that, unless you just do some nasty thing and make it green. But I trust you guys, and basically I hope that if you see something, then it would be really quick test if it's working or not. So especially if you have documentation with 100 pages or even longer, I guarantee that no one is reading it. Tests, if they fail, people will take care of it. So this is important thing as well. Okay, quickly wrapping up. Basically, danger around having too much is that it's too much, in a nutshell. So we have unclear design of the UI, we have too many complexity, and basically code base is insane to manage. Users are lost, our backlog looks like huge mess, and we have so tight roadmap that we can't squeeze anything in it. So how we can change it? So first of all, we can try to make the vision, which is not in a linear manner, so no one will stick date for that. So we can use mind maps, we can use this lovely tree. We can afterwards check, okay, what is real beneficial from the ideas we have and park the rest for the future. And then we can also, try to figure it out what is beneficial for the current business process. If we have to use estimates, I strongly advise to basically have few alternatives for the feature that we maybe are not certain that we would like to deliver, and show the risk, story points, and maybe assess business value with business, just to make informed decision how we would like to approach the building our software. Okay, that's it from me. Thank you for your attention. Do you have any questions? Questions? You need to wave because I don't have my glasses today, so I can't see if you are shy and things like that. That is yeah. Okay, I can't see the questions, but if you have any, there's my contact details. You can tweet me, you can email me. I'm also on the conference. I know it's only one day left. However, feel free to catch me. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time. And have a lovely day.